What's up, guys? I'm back with more F123 My Team. We have got Imola this weekend, and Imola is probably my favorite track in the game. Imola and Jeddah, I think, are my two favorite tracks in F1 to race, not necessarily from a viewer perspective, but just from a racing perspective. And we'll take you here quickly through some of the pre-race stuff. We've obviously still got the best car. We have some ground to make up in the Drivers' Championship. But we will do what we can. And fast forward a bit here, and you see me replacing some engine parts as well. If you think back to last week in Miami, I think that part of the problem of why we kind of got gapped by Lando Norris at the end of the race was because we just had some worn components. So I'm going through changing some of that stuff and getting right into qualifying. As I mentioned, this is one of my favorite tracks to drive. So I'm always looking forward to this race, and I always feel like I should be getting a good outcome, a good performance, because it is a track that I enjoy so much. Obviously, I kind of try to set the AI based on how I'm doing in terms of in terms of preparation, and then setting the AI based on how I'm doing. So theoretically, the AI scales up a little bit. And that's a separate conversation, but I've always had problems with trying to set the AI perfectly, because what I would prefer to do is like set the AI to the same level at every track, but practically it just doesn't work because, for instance, I have the best car on the grid. So it's a bit ridiculous for me to easily win one race on, let's say, Imola, where I'm pretty confident, and then turn around and finish P18, P19 on the next track, which I'm not so confident at, because I set the AI at the same level. So it's a constant battle, something I've talked about before, something that I'm sure I'll continue to talk about for the rest of time while I play this game. But the result is that the AI level is going to kind of scale up based on how good I am at the track, right? Maybe a track where I'm not so good, the AI will be lower, but the end result is for me to be kind of where I should be in terms of car performance. So it's no guarantee that I'm going to have a great performance here, but I will say I'm feeling pretty good. The car is obviously great. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling great. So I hope that we can get a good result. We put a pretty good lap in on our first lap of qualifying. Obviously went P1 at the time, subsequently dropped down to P3. Second lap here, I bend it, went into the gravel, so that was that. But we're out for a third lap, and I don't know exactly how much time I need to make up on the guys in front of me to try to get higher up the grid. So I'm just going to try to put the best lap on paper that I can and see where that puts me and see where I end up. And hopefully that's a pole position, because it's always going to be easier when you're starting from pole position. I think especially in this game when it's a little bit easier to get a good exit off the line than maybe it was in last year's game. So you're not at this huge disadvantage. I mean, I can think back to a couple races that I did in my team for F122, and I would start P1, P2, something like that, and then within two turns I would be in P10, P12, something like that, just because the AI got this absurd start off the line. Whereas here, I usually get a pretty good start, and the AI gets kind of average starts, I would say. So a lot of times if I'm leading at the beginning of the race, I'm leading into turn one. So pretty good. But back to this lap, I'm roughly 4/10 lap, going into the very end here to sprint down to the line. 4.5 tenths, 5 tenths, and I don't know how good this is going to be, but it feels like a great lap. Go across the line, and it is P1. So nice little pole lap there. It was it felt good, felt like I was on the rails. So we should be starting from the front of the grid, provided I don't take any engine penalties. And let's get into the grid walk actually right now. 4/10 up on Verstappen, pretty nice.
Welcome to Imola, the spiritual home of Ferrari. But you don't need me to tell you that. Just look at the red-clad Tifosi in the grandstands. They're ready. Are you ready? For the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. One lap of Imola, anti-clockwise of course, unlike most Formula One circuits, will take our drivers round 3.1 miles of track, 19 turns, 9 right-handers and 10 to the left. Drivers will need to be precise at the hairpin at turn 7, given the subsequent uphill section. Without a good exit from that corner, they'll lose a lot of time on that stretch. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Joker lines up on pole position. And Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Sainz, Oscar Piastri, Leclerc, Perez, Fernando Alonso, Chadwick, Norris, Ocon, Gasly, Albon, Bottas, Ricciardo, Stroll, Hamilton, Magnussen, Sonoda, Hulkenberg, Joe, and Logan Sargent. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race.
So there's the starting grid. I'm P1, front of the grid. Jamie's in P9, so hopefully we're on for double points, provided everything works out for us. 91 degrees on the track, 77 degrees in the air. So it should be a nice little day here as we stroll around Imola and try to get another win on the books. You see, so my main championship rival here is Charles Leclerc. I think as we go through the season, I would hazard a guess that people like Verstappen are going to become a bit of competition as well. But with Leclerc up there near the front in the mix, it's anything could happen here. So let's see how it goes. You saw in my strategy, I'm going, what was that, two-stop? Actually, I just looked at it and then immediately forgot what it was. But I'm starting on the mediums. Looks like everybody's starting on the mediums or the softs. Presumably the hard is not going to be a very popular tire. It was not in my strategy, in my suggested strategy, and I'm probably not going to use it. Yeah, there it is. I'm doing the two-stop, the medium soft. And all the other cars starting on mediums, you have to think that they're probably going to do something similar. I would also guess that there's going to be some AI that do throw a hard tire in there, but theoretically, me on the medium soft two-stop, I should be faster than any AI doing a two-stop and using the hards. I'm guessing that none of the AI are doing a one-stop. Anything can happen, I guess, so we'll see. But 5 red lights out. Away we go. And I am looking to be firmly P1, but Russell's got a really nice start there on the soft tires. And I'm guessing that Russell's going to be a bit of a pest here behind me with the soft tires. The car is fast, and he's fast, and with the soft tires, he should have better grip than I do. So, but my only hope is I'm hoping that I can stay in front of him, outlast him, and by the time his tires drop off, I'm still in first, and he hasn't really gained any advantage on me. Because his view is probably that he wants to start on the soft tires, get out ahead of me, fly off into the distance in P1, and then when he pits, he's sort of built out this gap. But my hope is that I can stay in front of him and not let him ever build that gap. And as we go through the first lap, I'm already over a second up on Leclerc, which is nice. But it looks like Sainz, Verstappen, and Russell are all within 1 second of me. And this is my goal, is to really get out of DRS range if possible pretty quickly, because if these guys are within DRS range as we go, I guess it would be lap 4, because it'll be enabled on lap 3, and then lap 4 will be the first time they'll get DRS down the pit straight. I'm going to lose so much time on those guys. I mean, I know, and I'm thinking as I do this race, if I am in DRS range of them going into lap 4, Russell and Sainz are both probably going to pass me on the pit straight. And we are now going into lap 4, finishing lap 3. Lap 4, we pass the DRS zone, and Russell and Sainz immediately start gaining on me. Russell goes ahead of me. Sainz looks like he's going to be able to as well, and he does. So I'm P3 just like that, and frankly, I knew that was going to happen. It's such a long pit straight that you were just kind of cooked if they're within DRS range. So unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. Fast forward a bit to lap 9. I am staying with these guys, staying within DRS range. Of course, Verstappen and Leclerc behind me are also staying in DRS range. So I'm just sort of in a bit of a train, and it sort of makes it tough going down into turn 1 because if me and the car in P2 have DRS, then it's going to be hard for us both to pass P1. But fortunately, I was able to get past Sainz there. I just got a really nice exit out of, what is that, Aqua Mineral, I think it's called? I could be wrong. Please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I think that's what it's called. And so the end result here is I'm within 0.3 of Russell going into the DRS straight, and I'm gaining on him by the time I even engage DRS, so I should absolutely be able to take this lead, and I do. But then, of course, the next problem or obstacle is to stay out in front of Russell and get out of DRS range, because he's going to be able to catch me if we don't. But he quickly starts losing a bunch of time there, and I don't know exactly what that was. I almost wonder if he was like, if he got into my slipstream a bit. So fast forward to the pit stop, I managed to keep a pretty good gap on these guys, but I took way too much time right there in the pits going in, and then also coming out. I just don't hit the pit limiter. Frankly, I didn't practice the pit entry and exit at all. I did not even. I should, but I didn't. I mean, in a real race against real people, everybody else is in the same situation, right? So we're all you're all being a little bit careful and trying not to ruin your race there. But the AI is just, they're robots when it comes to that. And so I lost a bunch of time there. Also got undercut by all these guys. So pretty disastrous pit section. And I mean, even Sainz, I was like 4 seconds ahead of Sainz when we pitted, and now he is right there with me on hard tires. And that's not what I wanted. I've already lost a ton of time on Russell, Leclerc. I think Verstappen is in P1. So that really couldn't have gone any worse. And I think it was probably partially undercut, but mainly I think it's just all the time that I wasted in the pits. Or not in the pits, but going into the pits and then coming out of the pits, not necessarily in the pits. We had a purple stop with a 2.2 second stop, so that wasn't the problem. But as we move forward through the second stint, you can see I'm gaining on Russell and Leclerc, but Sainz is right there with me the whole time. And that's really disappointing to me, because Sainz is on hard tires. And if you remember at the beginning of this race, when we were on the formation lap, I said the fact that I'm on mediums and some of these other AI are definitely going to go to hards I should be able to gap them easily. And especially the mediums still have a lot of life. I don't think that I put up any tire wear graphics at any point, unless I'm misremembering, but I'm just I should be fine on tire wear, right? But regardless, Sainz is right there with me. So I get DRS, and it looks like I may be able to make something happen, but it's just there's too much going on. Leclerc and Russell are battling each other. They're too wide on the track, and if there was one car there, I could probably pass in that DRS zone. But the fact that there are two cars there, sharing the track, moving unpredictably left and right, makes it really, really, really tough. So I'm gonna need a pretty great run if I want to take this position. And I get a pretty good run there. I take the second one, but just completely miss the braking point and go off into the gravel. Fortunately, it doesn't pop up with damage. I'm completely fine on damage, but I do get passed by Russell and Leclerc and Sainz. So that is not good. That just was not a good situation. I should have sat behind those guys, and that's a lap car behind me and kind of became irrelevant. But the good thing is, these cars are battling in front of me and costing themselves, each other, a whole lot of time, which sort of opens up the door a little bit for me to try to take advantage of this situation. And I'm able to pass Russell before we even are at the DRS zone, I think. Make a pretty easy and quick pass on Sainz, and I had to promise myself to hit the braking point. And I go a little bit deep, but not deep enough to really cause a problem. And we are safely into P2, and I'm going to see if we can build up that gap a little bit to get out in front of them. And here you can see me fast forwarding through the stint. What you're seeing here, Verstappen continues to just build a gap on me. There's no question he's faster than I am today, but I am putting a little bit of time between myself and Russell and Sainz, so that's okay. There's somebody retired there. I think it was Ocon who retired. But Sainz and Russell are battling each other and over 2 seconds back, but Verstappen continues to run out further ahead of me. So it's just a bit of a lonely race for the end of the second stint, but not lonely enough really, because I can feel Norris and Russell behind me sort of gaining ground and breathing down my neck, and I can see them in the rear view and everything. So it could be better, but we are going to be pitting very soon, so this is the lap where you can see the pit window open, pops up, and you can see Russell pits behind me. Looks like Norris does not, but Verstappen is going to pit the same lap as I am, and he's going onto the soft tires. I am also going onto the soft tires, I believe. So this now is for the race. This is what we're looking at. This is our situation. Verstappen still 11 seconds ahead of me on the soft tires. I'm not going to be able to catch this guy. Sainz on the medium tires. I don't know how long he's been on those, but it could be an interesting play if we think that we can catch him. So it is Sainz in P2, Verstappen in P3, me in P4, and as we go through this last stint on the soft tires, you can see me kind of catching up here a little bit to the people in front of me. Verstappen has managed to absolutely just gap everybody. So he's out front of Sainz and Leclerc. But Sainz and Leclerc are both on the medium tires and are both battling each other quite a bit here. And that's only going to help me. So I'm on better tires. The question is just, are they going to last until the end? And I'm also benefiting from them battling each other a bit and costing each other time. So by lap 58 here, we've got 5 or 6 laps left. I am going to be within DRS range of Leclerc going down the pit straight, and I've got to make this happen because I've got to go catch Sainz. So I sort of had it in my mind, I'm going to push and I'm gonna try to catch him right here and try to not waste a bunch of time behind him, because I think it'll be kind of tight to catch Sainz by the end of the race as my tires drop off a bit and his probably continue to have a little bit more life. Go around the outside, get to pass done on Leclerc, and we are good there. And remember, he's my championship rival, so it doesn't look like he's going to lose any more places, but it would be nice if he did. And then, like clockwork, you see the caution flag. Leclerc starts adding a bunch of time behind me, and you can see on the mini map up there that it looks like he spun off or something. And I was kind of worried that I did something wrong here to cause this. But after the race, I looked at the replay, which I'm showing you here. It's kind of tight, but if you go through this turn, he's right behind me, and he just spins off, just completely loses it. So it wasn't my fault. I didn't do anything. I don't feel guilty, and we are good to go there. Stewards investigated, found that I did absolutely nothing wrong. So we're on to catching Sainz. And lap 62 here, we are going to be within DRS range going into the very final lap of the race, and it looks like I'm going to get this done. And there's no chance to catch Verstappen, obviously. But Sainz on the mediums, I'm on the softs. He should be easy pickings, and I don't think that he's going to get DRS from this lap car in front, so I should be absolutely fine here. That's the hope. And behind me, we've got Hamilton and Norris, but neither one of them are within range, so I'm not too worried about that. I'm not too worried about those guys. And I won't say easily get past Sainz. I kind of struggled with it, actually, but I did get past Sainz. And I'm guessing that he was using all his battery, because as soon as I passed him, he just starts to drop like a rock. I think that he was using absolutely everything to try to stay in front of me. And I think if he had stayed in front of me through that DRS zone, he probably would have been able to stay in front of me for P2. I mean, depending on battery usage, but I was pretty low on battery as well. So there's not really a great passing zone. I would have had to rely on just getting a better exit out of Aqua Mineral or something like that. So it seems like I'm going to be able to keep this P2 as Sainz drops over a second behind. And in the context of where I started, this is a bit disappointing. Started P1 and ended up finishing 10 or 11 seconds behind Verstappen. But frankly, I think that might just be a bit of AI wizardry, just AI being able to run faster than me at certain points of the race. I mean, that's something that people have talked about on the forums quite a bit. It seems like sometimes the AI can just they'll be going a certain speed, and then they'll get to a stint, and then they'll just absolutely gap you, and it kind of feels like that's what happened here. But a podium is a podium, and I'm happy with that. And Leclerc obviously finished a couple places behind me, and he's currently the championship leader. So I mean, that's fine, you know. It's good. We gained at least a couple points here, and we'll kind of see when we look at the final classification or whatever. We can see exactly how many points we gained. But Verstappen, I believe, is still behind me in the drivers' championship. So this should be a net gain for me, I would think, in the championship. But we'll have to see as we get the pit lane celebration from Verstappen. Celebrating his win, and Sainz also you saw celebrating his podium. You didn't see me celebrating a podium, but fast forward to the podium celebration, and there I am, second place. Always nice. We would like to have a win, but I think I did make at least, at least one big mistake. So it's kind of nice to survive and live to fight another day and still get a good result and sort of maximize what I could have done, which is passing signs near the end of the race there and not getting stuck behind him. So it could be a lot worse. And we're happy with that result. And I think we'll be showing the final classification here and kind of go through some of the standings. Yeah, so 18 points for me. Leclerc finished in 7th. Jamie finishes in P8. Nicely done. But I gained 12 points on Leclerc, which is always a positive. And I gained points on everybody except for Verstappen. And I'm sure I'll go to the standings here and we'll look at this more closely. But yeah, up to P3 in the championship standings. That's because I think I was behind Norris and Sainz before that race. And constructor-wise, we are still quite a gap behind Ferrari, but catching up. So, yeah, good race. P2. I'm happy to get it. And I can't remember where we are next week. I want to say it's Monaco, maybe, which will be fun. It's always a fun race, a tight race. So we'll see what we can do. But, yeah, P2, nice result here. And we're on to the next one.